Good morning. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? What's going on? Traders inside the chat, good morning. And happy money freaking Monday. We are back ready to attack it, baby. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you guys are having a great morning inside of pre-market, getting prepared, and who knows, maybe locking in some profits because, you know, the early birds getting the worm all the time inside the chat. So what's up, everybody? Once again, good morning. Welcome back. And happy Money Monday. Josie, what's up? Trader Adam, Mr. Steve, Chelsea, Jonathan, William, Corey, Anita, Stir. Woo, everybody's inside the chat, ready to rock and roll. Joey, what's up, brother? Good morning, Mr. Steve Carby. We got the Halt Master inside the chat. Yeah, that's right. He's got to change the username from Steve to the Halt Master. Halt Master Flex. That should be your username. I think that's actually pretty badass. Let's make it happen. The Sizzler. I love your username, by the way. The Sizzler. It just says, I think it should be The Sizzler. I like it. The Sizzler. What's up, Anthony? Good morning. That's the type of energy that I'm looking to have you guys bring. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Michelle, good morning again. How we doing? Everybody inside the chat, drop me with those big old good mornings, and then we'll officially dive into it. And then everybody over on YouTube for the pre-market rundown. What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Money Monday. You got Steve, you got Tech, Mr. Justin, and JC. JC. I saw Jason Terry and a JC. I added the Y. Jason, woo! What's up, buddy? Good morning. All right, team. All right, it's 8:48. We got about, 30, 40, 42 minutes till the market opens. So we got 42 minutes to break everything down. So we start with the pre-market rundown. That's when I review your top stocks for the day to make sure you're prepared, ready to rock and roll. So come prepared every single morning with a stock that you need reviewed right at like 8:45. And we'll dive right into it, right? That usually takes us until about like 9:10 to 9:15. That gives us another 15 to 20 minutes before the market opens. And that's when we dive into the morning game plan session where I give you guys the game plan on the SPY, my top option plays for today. And then if I'm watching any penny stocks, I break those down and give you guys the game plan as well. But the pre-market rundown was really intended to make sure I have an opportunity to review your stocks that you're watching, even if they're not something that I'm watching for the day, just to make sure that, again, you get a second opinion, second set of eyeballs, and maybe I see something that you missed, right? That really helps you, continue to build your plan and get prepared for the day. So let's dive into it inside a chat right now, this point in time. Do you guys have any stocks on your watch list that are not the SPY, not the Qs, not Apple, not NVIDIA, and not Tesla? Because we're going to be reviewing those 5 stocks right around like 9:10 to 9:15 for the morning game plan. So if there's any other stock on your watch list, you're like, dude, I'm watching this stock. I think there's great potential, but I need a second opinion. I need some more eyeballs on this stock. Give me the opportunity to take a look at it and make sure you're all set, ready to rock. And something else a lot of our traders can do inside of the community is they can review these stocks as well. Let's say Trader Adam doesn't have any stocks he wants reviewed, but he's like, hey, I want to go look at Snapchat and give my analysis on Snapchat. Be more than happy, right? Go look at Snap, mark up your levels, type up a message. And then again, we're all one big team. We're all one big community here to support and help one another. So not only will I give you my analysis and my opinion and what I see on that particular stock, but I guarantee other members and traders and coaches inside the chat will do the same exact thing for you, right? So let's go ahead and get those tickets typed on up. Let's review those. I do not want to waste any time, baby. Let's get it. And so since we got a few coming on over on YouTube, we'll start with a few on YouTube first, since y'all are sleeping inside a chat this morning. Snapchat from David. Let's take a look at Snap here. Right? Obviously just fading, falling, fading, falling, fading, falling. We are coming down into some support, and it looks like we hit that zone on Friday. We did. So we saw this gap down high before we made a lower low here. So we're going to mark up that high. And then we see we had some more resistance here back in like May before we got that nice big break. So we can see we had some prior resistance between like 881 and 894 here on Snap. We had some daily resistance. It was also some daily support here as well. And we came back into that zone here on Friday, and we had a nice big push out of that zone. So here's the deal with Snap. If we're going to see like a second day of continuation to the upside, all we really need to do is see the stock gap up above Friday's high day and Friday's close, hold that level as support, and then push. Or if we're below that level, we just need to see a break and retest today. So what we need to do is go mark up Friday's close, mark up Friday's high a day, And that's going to give us this overhead initial level of resistance. I don't know where we're at in pre-market. I don't really care. All I care about is marking up these high probability daily levels of support resistance. We can clearly see we have this daily level of lower support between 881 and 894. And we just look at Friday, right? We know we can mark up Friday's close and Friday's high a day. And that gives us an overhead level of resistance between 918 and 919, a whopping penny. And so these are going to be the two nearest levels of overhead resistance, lower support. Again, it really depends on where we're at here in pre-market, but we just want to start by identifying these key daily levels. That's really all we want to do, these key daily levels, and then go from there. So let's go ahead and mark up the next overhead level of resistance between 950 and 959, right? So we got some pretty key levels marked up, ready to go. Let's jump right into our 5-minute time frame and see where we're at. So we're already gapping up today. And it looks like we're gapping up right into a lot of this daily resistance that we identified, right? Last Thursday's high a day was 928, right? That's going to be some resistance before we can see a push up towards around 950 to 960. So we know we're going to have some resistance right at Thursday's high a day. That's at 928. What are we doing right now in pre-market, right? We're gapping up, but we're having a hard time pushing above 928. We know that we have support back down at Friday's close and Friday's high a day. Right? So right now, support's going to be back down between 918 and 919. So what I would like to see is like one of two things on Snap, right? Either A, we open on up, fail to break that resistance level, and we start to pull back into support, right? As long as that support level holds on up, that's a great area to look to get long up into resistance, 928. And if we ever break 928, then we know we have room to 950 and then 960 on Snap. So game plan number one is we open, fail to break resistance, and we start to drop. We pull back. Where to? This lower level of support between 918 and 919. And assuming that level actually holds on up as intraday support and we have a reason to get long, that's a great area of support to look to get long for the leg up to 928 and then up to like 950 to 960, right? So that's trade idea number one. Trade idea number two is we open and just go ahead and break resistance, right? That's very possible. We open and just boop, right above 928. That's okay. Let it break. If we see it opening and just breaking 928, that's fine. Wait for it to pull back to where? 928. Let it break resistance and then pull back into that level of resistance and then retest it as support. If we see that break and it's a strong break and we see a nice healthy pullback into this 928 level and we hold it as support, that could be a nice break and retest opportunity to get long for that leg up to 950, up towards around 960 here on Snapchat. Okay, so those are going to be like the two trade ideas to the long side. Now, here's the deal. If we open and come down into that lower support level and we crack below it, well, you're not taking it long today on Snapchat. If anything, you'd be looking for a possible short opportunity off that level as resistance. If we crack below it, come back into it, we can't break back above it, we see it's more or less resistance at that point in time, we know we have potential to see Snap drop back down towards around like 894. All right. So that would be where you're just not you're not touching it long. You would, essentially see a possible short setup if we're able to fall below that 918 level, push back into it, stay below it as resistance. We know we could see Snap fade and fall at least back down to like 894 to a low of like 881 here on Snapchat. So I would say your line in the sand today, like your make or break, is that 918 then 919, right? It's your make or break. It's your line in the sand. If you hold above it, you have great opportunity to the long side. If you crack below it and stay below it, you have good opportunity to the short side. So your line in the sand on Snapchat today is 918 to 919, right? And really depending on what happens at that level, that's going to be your make or break. That's going to be your point where, Snap makes a decision, whether it wants to hold and push or crack and drop. Jonathan, what's up, brother, man? Welcome to the team, man. Super excited to have you here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I know there's a lot inside of the platform, man. So it's like you just got access to the platform. You're probably looking at everything. You're like, dude, there is so much. Where do I start? We got traders of the day. We got livestock news. We got the trading vaults. We got 10 courses. We have all the tools. We got the live trading rooms. We got the chat rooms, the live stream. There's a lot, right? So it's like take some time, click all the buttons, right? Figure out where everything's located. how to change from a light mode to a dark mode, how to shrink your nav bar off to the side if you want to, get inside of your account settings, upload a profile picture, change your username, right? There's a lot of stuff inside of the Alpha University platform, right? Alpha University is not just a platform, it's a program. And so there's a lot here within the platform. And again, starting to take the next steps within the program as well. Any questions whatsoever that you have to get you up to speed and get you moving, just drop those questions inside of chat. I will help you. Members inside of chat will help you as well, and at least get you started pretty strong, right? And at least point you in the right direction on where should you start, maybe based on where you're at right now in your trading career. But take some time, 5-10 minutes, click all the buttons, figure everything out, and feel pretty comfortable with the platform and being able to navigate it. And you're all set, ready to rock and roll. So yeah, again, welcome to the team. And don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to DM me, drop questions inside of chat. We will always help you out. Absolutely. Mr. Steve, what's up, brother, man? How's it going? He's looking at do. He's looking at do. All right, Diamond Offshore Drilling, ticker DO. Nice big day on Friday. So the first thing that I'm going to do is mark up Friday's high day and Friday's close, right? We're slightly gapping up today with little to no volume, but we want to see if DO can hold above 1595 to 1605. That's going to be Friday's high a day and Friday's close. Since we're gapping above that level, coming off of a strong day, right? We can all agree that Friday was a pretty strong day. We gapped down and we pushed and just completely ate all of these other, prior days worth of movement. We just completely ate those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of when we were just consolidating. So a nice big push, nice big bullish day Friday there on DO, slight increase in volume, and we're gapping up today. So that looks good for a continuation, right? When you have a strong day, you gap up the next day above the prior day's close and high day. That indicates we can see another day of movement to the upside, right? Another continuation day. Some of this momentum from Friday bleed into today. So we just really want to see it stay above, again, Friday's high day and Friday's close between 1595 and 1605. And if we can hold that level as support, we could see this pop up towards around like 1652, right? Into that spiking high right here, right around 1652. And then, the sky's the limit, right? Sky is the limit. This is the highest the stock would ever be. So if you break, all-time highs of, 1652, right? Where's your next psychological level of, really strong resistance? It would be $20, right? So yeah, you can see this all the way to 20. But there is another way to gauge overhead price targets, okay? So another way to gauge overhead price targets is to run Fibonacci extensions, right? To map out overhead price targets, especially if you see the stock hitting all-time highs or breaking into all-time highs. So the first thing that we have to do is see if this was a proper retracement, and then we know, can we draw an extension, right? So the first thing that I would do is go ahead and mark up this swing low, swing high. This is when the move really started to happen. That's where volume started to really move on in off this low and then straight up into these highs. So that's how I'm going to start my fib. And I just want to see if this fib was respected, right? Was the 23.6 respected? Kind of. Was 38.2 respected as support? Absolutely. We came down and we hit that level and we had a nice bounce. The 50%, you can't really tell because we had a pretty big red day. And the 61.8, we don't really know if those levels were super respected intraday just by looking at the daily. So what I would do is just mark up these fib levels right off the daily. I would come right into your 5-minute time frame, zoom out, and then look and see if those levels were respected based on that fib. And we can see they were right here. We can see that we came down into that 38.2. We held it. We pushed. We can see that that was a level of support. We also see the 50% retracement. We tried the hold. We came down and we bounced off that level. So we can see that the Fibonacci retracement was honored to a certain extent. It wasn't honored perfectly or beautifully, but we have a lot of touch points at these fib retracement levels that do validate the fib. So I feel pretty confident to go grab a Fibonacci extension to map out some overhead levels of resistance off the same points. So it's going to be off the swing low, off the swing high, and then it's going to be off the retracement low. So now we just go grab a Fibonacci extension. We take it from swing low, we take it to swing high, and then we drag it down into that pullback low right there. And so this is going to give us an idea on where could we see DO go, right? Since we're going to be breaking in the all-time highs, right? The sky's the limit, right? Technically, we know we have room to $20, psychological resistance, but are there going to be hit stops along the way up, right? The Fibonacci extension will give you an idea of where the stock could go to prior to hitting $20. So $17, right? That's going to be the 78.6 extension. A full 100% move would put you around $18. Then you're looking to be around 19.18 and then up towards around 19.80. So these are going to be your overhead levels of resistance, right? Number one, 16.52, then 17, then pretty much 18, then pretty much 19, and pretty much 20, right? It's like pretty much every dollar from 16.50 to 17. From 17, you have room to 17.98, pretty much call it $18. From 17.98 all the way to 19.18, pretty damn close to $18. And then all the way up towards around 19.80 to 20. And that's really just basing these overhead levels off that Fibonacci extension. So here's the deal with DO, right? Super simple, right? We're gapping above this initial level of support between 1595 and 1605. As long as we hold this level as support, we know we have room to all-time highs, 1652. If we ever see DO breaking the all-time highs, we know we have room to 17, room up to 1798, 1918, and then 1980. They're on DO. So your line in the sand, right, is this lower zone of support between 1595 and 1605. If we stay above that level, we have great potential to see another big spike to the upside today. All right, if we crack below that level, I don't know how interested I would be, right? I mean, we could see it come back down towards around like 1540. I mean, if we fall below this zone of support, I don't know how interested I would be at that time, but we'll come back and take a look at it when the time comes. But right now, line in the sand between 1595 and 1605, as long as we hold that level as support, we can see that we have great potential to the upside, and we can see some of this momentum and action and volume from Friday bleed into today. And if we ever get those all-time high breaks, we could see a lot of great action to the upside. They're on DO. All right, brother man. So what time is it? It's 9:04. We maybe have time for one more stock review before we dive into the morning game plan. Before we take a look at the SPY, the Qs, Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, maybe we have time for one more review. So if there's anything on your watch list, go ahead and let me know, guys. Let's get it reviewed. Let's make sure you guys are prepared, ready to rock. Airbnb. Let's take a look at Airbnb real quick. I like this gap from Thursday into Friday. So go mark up Thursday's low of day, Friday's high of day. That's going to be a daily gap. So yeah, if we were to like break 126.12, we could close the daily gap up towards around 127.38. So we can see we have a slight little gap there on Airbnb. And then what I would do is come back down and mark up this lower zone of support right here. So again, that's going to put you at Friday's low of day, but you can also look back into June and see that there's a lot of touch points at this level as well. So we have a lower zone of support between 122.75 and 123.40. Not only is it Friday's low of day, but take a look left and look at how many times we've honored this level, right? We have resistance, support, resistance, resistance, gap up, low day support, resistance, support, 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 support. We've hit this level like 10 plus times, and it was also Friday's low of day. So this is going to be a great zone of lower support here on Airbnb. That's down between 122.75 to 123.40. We know that we have this overhead gap that could get filled, and that gap was created from Thursday's low of day, gap down Friday, and then we have that high of day on Friday. That's between 126.12 and 127.38. So I feel pretty good with these daily levels. Now what I want to do is just go right into my intraday time frame and see where we're at, right? And right now, we're slightly gapping up, but again, there's not a lot of volume here with Airbnb, right? Not a lot of volume whatsoever. So I'd like to really see some volume move on in at the start of the day and see what we do, right? If we get a solid like break above 126.12 and we hold that level, I would expect to see that gap get filled up towards around 127.38, right? And if that gap gets filled and we continue to push higher, I mean, you can definitely push on up into this next level of daily resistance, which is going to be right between 127.98 and 128.16, right? And we can see here that we have this this close here. We have this low of day and open prior to the push. It was also Thursday's close. But what we want to see is like, was it honored in the past? And I can clearly see it was, right? High a day rejection, high a day rejection, right? We tried to break, we couldn't. We tried to break, we couldn't. High day rejection, high day rejection, right? We closed at that level. We gapped up. Fantastic. But when we return to that level, we see it turn support. So we see prior resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We gap above that level, we push. We come back a few days later into that prior resistance level. We hold it right here as support. We push higher. And it's also Thursday's close. So that's going to be a great overhead level of resistance if we break 127.38. Okay, so we already know what to expect here with Airbnb to really want to take this long today. And that's going to be Airbnb breaking and holding 126.12 and entering this daily gap zone. So staying above 126.12, holding that lower level as support, we're inside of this daily gap. We can definitely fill the gap up to 127.38. And if we see Airbnb have a really good day and we break over that 127.38, that's when I see potential for Airbnb to get up towards around 127.98 to 128.16 here on Airbnb. And that's really what you want to see if you're going to play this to the long side, right? Is us to get above and stay above that 126.12. And then we can start to push into that gap level and close the gap. And if we're really strong today, then we have room up towards around like 128 here on Airbnb, right? But what's something else that you could see as well, right? You could see a gap fill rejection to play it short. So it's like, hey, if you can't get long on this because it's just not setting up great, but you eventually see Airbnb getting up to that 127.38 and you see it starting to top on out, well, that's closing this daily gap. That could be a daily gap fill short strategy where you see the stock filling the gap intraday, closing the gap into resistance, and then we start to see the stock top on out and fail to break higher. You can look for a daily gap fill short off 127.38 back down to that 126.12. And then if we ever crack below 126.12, we know we have room all the way back down to like 123 here on Airbnb, right? So there's a couple different ways to play this, right? You can play this long to close this daily gap, but if you do not get that long to close the gap, just wait for the gap to get closed. See if that 127.38 is a key resistance level intraday, meaning we see it push up into that level intraday, top on out, fail to break higher. We see that it's clear intraday resistance. You could be pretty confident to look to play Airbnb shorts off that 127.38 for a gap fill short back down to like 126.12 on Airbnb. So, I mean, there is some decent potential today, whether you're looking at this long or short, but we got to really, again, see this thing open, get some volume, really start to move a little bit, and really go from there to see if like there's a solid reason to like get in today with Airbnb. But let's keep it on watch for sure. Let's go ahead and just add it to the watch list. Let's get it on there and let's just come back to it periodically and see if it's setting up for us. There is some decent potential today with Airbnb, just basically playing off these prior 2-day levels, keeping it super simple. At least we know short term where we could be headed to next. They're on Airbnb, guys. All right. So let's take a deep dive into the SPY, right? If you guys are just now tuning in, if you guys are new to the community as well, something that I'm doing in the morning, instead of like taking screenshots, marking up my levels, and then typing up a really long drawn out message with my levels, I'm doing quick, like 3 to 5 minute long videos, walking you guys through my game plans, breaking down these levels in pre-market versus doing it in a message format. I'm doing it in a video format. So what you see here is I did my penny stock watch list review today. Click that link, watch that video. I break down all of the penny stocks, all of my levels, what my game plan is for today. Did the same thing with the SPY, so you guys are fully prepared. I did the same thing with Apple, so you guys are fully prepared. So every morning, come on in, watch these quick little 3 to 5 minute long videos, and you could already have your levels established based on what I'm seeing, okay? And so again, all we're doing is marking up Friday's low of day and Friday's open, okay? That's going to be our lower level of support. We can see that we have a lot of resistance here at Friday's high a day. Look left, prior high a day rejection, high a day rejection, high a day rejection, rejection, rejection. We hit it as resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We pushed through it, gapped up, and we pulled back into it as daily support. We hit it as support, we bounced. Hit it as support, we bounced, and then we exploded even higher. So now we're coming back down into that level on Thursday, failing to hold it as support, gapping down on Friday and pushing back into that level as resistance. So we can clearly see that this is going to be a key level of support or resistance. Again, it really depends on where the SPY's at. I know the SPY's above that level, but let's say I just came into the market 7 o'clock and I'm looking at the SPY. I'm starting on the daily time frame. I don't even know where the SPY is at intraday. I want to start with my daily, right? And I want to identify my daily levels first and then go start identifying 5-minute levels, hour time frame levels. But I want to start with the daily. So we're going to mark up this lower level of support. We clearly see we have this zone of resistance or support, but it's a zone. It's a key level between 437 and 437.64. And we continue to do that all the way up and all the way down, just identifying these key daily levels of support resistance that we know if we hit one of these levels intraday, probably something's going to happen at that level. We're going to hit it in reverse. We're going to break through it and hold it to support and rip higher, right? We know that there's going to be opportunity around these levels. All right. So get those levels marked up. Okay. Your lowest zone of support is between 431.21, 431.43. That's your lowest level of support. Okay. Next up, you have Friday's low of day and Friday's open between 433 and 433.63. Mark that up. This zone between 437 and 437.64, right from the daily. Mark that up. Next daily level, right? Because this level right here in the middle is not a daily level. It's an intraday level. Next daily level is up between 443.60 and 444.32. And that's going to be a great level of resistance if we get there, right? That's going to put you back into the 50 SMA. That'll put you up against the 20 EMA and will also put you back into all of this prior resistance that was support and resistance last week as well. So I see great potential for the SPY to possibly get back up towards around 444, right? You got the 50 SMA sitting right there. You got the 20 EMA, and you have a very key level of prior support resistance right on the daily. It makes a lot of sense to see the SPY get up towards around 444. And if we do see the SPY at 444, that's a great area of resistance. That's an area that, as long as we set up and we look good, I would love to get short. Now, do I think the SPY is going to hit 444 today? I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is there's no real catalyst right now to drive the market, to see the market push up 4 points to the upside. Like, what's the catalyst today? Do we have CPI, PPI? Do we have, Jay Powell talking, right? Is there anything that's going to really drive the market with volume and volatility? Is there any catalyst? Not really. So do I think the SPY is going to make it all the way to 444 today? Probably not. That's a 6-point move. Without a catalyst to drive the market 6 points, we probably won't see it move 6 points. Do I think we could see some great movement today, though? Absolutely. And do I think it's realistic by tomorrow or Wednesday to see the SPY at 444? I think it's realistic to see that happen over the course of 2 to 3 days, not just today, because we don't really have a catalyst. Right? What's a catalyst that can drive the market even more come tomorrow? Well, look, we do have Fed Barkin speaking tomorrow. We have existing home sales data, and we got Fed Bowman speaking tomorrow as well. That's just tomorrow. Then come into Wednesday. We got new home sales data on Wednesday. We got jobless claims on Thursday, followed by Jay Powell speaking at Jackson Hole here on Friday. So today, you don't really have a catalyst to move the market, but tomorrow, you got some economic data. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Fed member speaking, Jackson Hole. We have something that could definitely move the market and bring in some volatility. So that's why I think today we're not going to see a 6-point move, because we don't have a catalyst. Tomorrow, there could be a better reason to see that move up to that 444. Wednesday, again, we have a catalyst that could continue to move the market to the upside, potentially, right? And so that's really what I want to start with the SPY. Number one, getting your levels identified. Number two, setting the expectations. Like, why would the market move 6 points today? Do we have a catalyst? Not really. And that would be literally a 7-point move. We're at 437 right now. To get to 444, that's a 7-point move. That's really unrealistic on a day where we don't really have a catalyst to drive the market. But we'll see. The market's the market. It's going to do what it wants to do. But you have your key levels identified. And there's one other level that I want to point out. It's not a daily level. It's an intraday level. And it's going to be this level between 440.43 and 440.60. Okay. And it just goes back into last Wednesday. We fell below that level. We see we had a lot of resistance here on Wednesday towards the end of the day. It turned into a lot of support in pre-market there on Thursday. We opened above it, but instantaneously right below that level. And we see it hit that level all day on Thursday as key resistance. I mean, how many times have we hit this? This is the 5-minute time frame as well. So you're talking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 35 minutes of us just hitting that level of resistance, failing to break above it, and we dropped. Came back into it, resistance, dropped. Came back into it, resistance, drop, right? And we see that it was identified here on Wednesday. A lot of resistance turned into a lot of support pre-market on Thursday, and then lots of resistance there Thursday intraday. So that's going to be a good level coming on up. It's not a daily level, but we clearly see that this is going to be an area that the SPY can get to, and there's going to be something that takes place, right? There's bound to be some sellers present at this overhead level of resistance between 440.43 and 440.60. So here's the game plan with the SPY, okay? We're sitting right at this daily level of support. So if the SPY opens in this zone and it starts to push, hey, we know we have room into this next level of resistance. If we break that level of resistance, right, we know we have room to 444. I highly doubt we get the 444 today, but what do I know? The market's the market. It's going to do what it wants to do. It can move 20 points today. I don't know. If it moves 20 points, I'm going to be in the move, though. That's for sure. I do know that because we're only going to take the best of the best trades and the best of the best opportunities, okay? So we know that there is some good potential to the upside if we hold this lower zone of support. But here's the deal. If we, what is it? We got about 12 minutes to go. I mean, hey, in the next 12 minutes, we could see the SPY right here opening, right? We could actually open right below that zone. So if we open below that zone, we push into it and we see that it's resistance and we start the top out roll on over, I see potential for the SPY to pull back towards around 443 on the SPY today, right? So it really depends on what we do. Excuse me, guys. At this lower zone of support. And again, this is your line in the sand. Okay. Your line in the sand is between 437 and 437.64. That's your line in the sand. If we open inside of it, we need to look and see what the SPY is going to do. If we open inside the zone, right, we don't know if it's going to be support or resistance, right? We can see it open in the zone and start to dump. We could see it start to rip. We have no idea what's going to happen if we open in this zone. It's 50-50. We got to sit back and wait and see what kind of setup do we get. Is it a short setup or is it a long setup? We have to just sit back and wait and see on what direction we decide to go. And then we know that this is going to be a key level of either support for a pullback or resistance for a retracement and a retest, right? But if we open in the zone, it's pretty 50-50. We won't really have a trade out of the gate. If for some reason we open above that zone, we know that we could pull back into it with high probabilities, hold as support, and move higher. That's when we start to put the probabilities in our favor, right? If we open above that zone, we know we can pull back into it as support and then push higher, right? If we open below this zone, we know it's going to be resistance. We can push into it, unable to break above, and then start to roll on over to the downside. So it really depends on, in the next 10 minutes, where's the SPY opening, right? If we gap up above that zone or gap down below that zone, we know that we can see it hold as support for the move higher or see it hold as resistance for the move lower. That's if we open above or below that zone. But if we open inside of this zone, we just got to wait and see what the decision is. Are we going to hold as support, push, retrace? That would be a good entry for the next leg up, right? Or are we going to open in the zone, drop, come back into it as resistance, and then get a good short opportunity for today? It would really depend on what we do if we open in the zone. But that is your line in the sand. That is going to be your make or break on the SPY. I do believe something's going to take place at this level. It's either going to hold a support, we're going to move up into resistance, that's 440.50, or we're going to fall below it and hold below it as resistance today. And then, hey, that's fantastic. We know we have room back down towards around Friday's low of day at 443. So keep this zone on high watch today, 437 to 437.64. That's going to be your line in the sand on the SPY. Okay, that's your make or break. Something's bound to happen at that level. And so keep that level on high watch today, guys. All right. And then finally, let's talk about the Qs real quick. Okay, the Qs have overhead resistance between 360 and 360.40. And again, these levels are coming right from the daily. That's it. All of the levels that I talk about come right from the daily, right? If you're unsure of how I'm identifying these levels, if you struggle with identifying levels as well, I would highly suggest getting inside of the course and watching the lessons about support and resistance, how to really dial in your ability to identify key high probability levels of support and resistance off the daily time frame, right? And then looking for intraday setups off of these higher time frame zones and higher time frame levels. I would really recommend you take some time to study up inside of the courses, inside of the training vaults, and move the needle, right? Come in and be able to confidently look at a daily chart, mark up all your key levels, and then when the market opens, just sit back and wait for the market to come to one of these key levels and then provide you with an opportunity. That's it. Who's cooking? That smells good. Sorry, I just had a big whiff of food, and I'm like, who's cooking right now? That's smelling pretty good. It's making me hungry. But anyway, this overhead zone of resistance on the Qs, we struggle to push through it here in pre-market, right? That's between 360 and 360.40. So here's the deal with the Qs. We're going to be gapping below this zone. If we push into the zone and we can't push above it and break above it, this is going to be some key resistance here on the Qs. That would be, hey, some great resistance. If we hit that zone, we top on out, we roll on over, we fail to break above. I would look to play puts back down, not all the way down to 355, right? There's going to be some pit stops along the way down, right into some of these Friday pullback lows. There will be some pit stops along the way down, but your main area of support would be back down around 355. That could be a 5-point drop today. Again, I don't really see a reason for the market to move 5, 6, 7 points. But again, that's what we see. If we fail to break this zone and we see it holding as resistance, we know that, hey, the best of the best of the best level of support is back down at Friday's low of day. You will have pit stops along the way down, like 357.50, right? This pullback low of 356.16, this pullback low of 355.69. There will be pit stops along the way down where you're looking to take profit, because these are areas where we could see a bounce, but we could potentially come all the way back down towards around 355, right? That's if we push into this overhead zone of resistance and we fail to break above. And if we see that take place, we know we want to be getting short. But here's the deal. If the Qs open and go right above that zone, we pull back into it and hold it as support. Well, guess what? I'm not taking the puts. I'll be looking for calls because, hey, we're holding that zone as support. So if we can break through it, pull back into it, hold it as support, and then we start to curl, we could see buyers step back in and we could see a push back up towards around 364. That's going to be the next daily level of main resistance, up around 364. Now, same thing. Like, is it going to go from 360 to 364 just straight up without pulling back? No, there's going to be pit stops along the way up, right? Right here, we can see that there's a lot of support and resistance at like 362. So that's going to be a pit stop where we can push up to, where you can take some profits. Right here at 363, that's going to be an area where we can push up to, where you can take some profits. And then up towards around that 364 zone, and that's coming right from the daily, okay? So your line in the sand today here on the Qs is this zone between 360 and 360.40. If we break and hold it, we're playing calls. If we push into it and fail to break it and we start to fade and fall and we see that that zone is indeed intraday resistance, that's when we just go ahead and start playing some puts for the next leg down. Your line in the sand on the Qs is that zone between 360 and 360.40, guys. Okay. And that's where a lot of my focus is today, is simply the SPY and the Qs. Okay. I'm taking a look at NVIDIA and I'm 50-50 with it. Do I see potential today? Yes. But do I see reasoning for trades right at the start of the day? Not really. There needs to be a little bit more time to see NVIDIA move and develop because we are pretty far away from these daily zones of support resistance. So again, NVIDIA could set up today, could be in play, but there's a lot of work it has to do to get into these lower levels of support or upper levels of resistance before we even consider a trade in the first place. NVIDIA, it's going to be on watch, but it's not like my top stock to watch right at the start of the day. It's pretty clear that we should focus on the SPY. We're sitting right at a key level of support, right? The Qs sitting right at a key level. We should put our focus there. NVIDIA, we're right in the middle of key support, key resistance. It's got some work to do. It's on the watch list, but I'm not going to focus on NVIDIA right at the start of the day, right? The SPY and the Qs have better potential to give us opportunity right at 9:30 when the market opens. Same thing with Tesla. There's potential today with Tesla, but we're right in the middle of key support, key resistance. It's on watch, but it doesn't take priority over the SPY and the Qs right at 9:30, right? And then Apple, same thing. Great potential today, but it doesn't take priority. So Apple, Nvidia, Tesla is on watch. And if you guys are wondering, Josh, what are your levels? Go ahead and go inside of alerts. Watch the breakdown on the SPY. Watch the breakdown on Apple. If you're going to watch a breakdown and put one stock on your watch list, I would highly recommend it's Apple over Tesla over Nvidia. Apple looks really, really good, right? So definitely start getting prepared with those morning breakdown videos. And so here's the deal with Apple. All I'm looking for today on Apple is for Apple to push back into this multi-day downtrend that we see hit like 7 times over the past couple of weeks. That also puts us back into this zone of prior support, right? That we can see hold as resistance today. So Apple is coming into this multi-day downtrend resistance and will be pushing back up into a lot of this daily support. I mean, look at Apple. We hit this daily zone as support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times we've come into this zone between 167.58 and 177.57. And we've held as beautiful support more than 10 times. We dropped below that level on Thursday. We bounced on Friday. And so if we're going to push back up today, where are we going, right? Back into this prior level of daily support that can turn into daily resistance. This would be a daily crack and a daily retest back up at that resistance level. And it's also in line with this multi-day downtrend. So that's really what I'm looking at today here on Apple is a simple daily crack, daily retest. So we're cracking this daily zone of support, dropping on off, and we're starting to push back up for a retest as resistance. And it would put you right at this multi-day downtrend. So that's what I'm looking at today on Apple, is Apple to come back into this downtrend, get into this zone, retest it as resistance. And if we see Apple failing to push higher and we see Apple failing to break this downtrend, I definitely want to be looking to grab some puts here on Apple today, guys. All right. So that's the game plan, ladies and gentlemen. We are all set, ready to rock and roll. You're fully up to speed on the SPY, the Qs, Apple, right? These are the best stocks for the day. We had a chance to review DO, Airbnb, and one other one as well. And then you guys know that I have Nvidia on watch, Tesla on watch, but those still need some work to do. And if they sit up at some point, I'll bring those to your attention. We'll break those down. We'll get you prepared at that point in time. But if they're not going to set up today, I don't want to waste your time. And we have better opportunity as well, guys. SPY, Qs, and Apple, right? So we are all set, ready to rock and roll. The market should be open in the next couple of seconds. And there it is. Market is open. We are live. Let's have an amazing day, team. Remember to get those levels marked up, to get prepared in pre-market. Market opens at 9:30, okay? Your hands off. Let the market come to you, right, to one of your levels. Just wait for the market to come to you. Wait for there to be an opportunity and a trade, and then attack it, right? But if the stock is sitting right here, way far away from your level that you've identified, your area, right, your hands off. Let the market come to you, right? Sit back, be patient, and let's take the best of the best trades, knowing that as long as we're taking the best of the best trades, a byproduct of that is we make money, right? We're not here to make money. We're here to take only the best of the best setups, knowing that the money follows, right? That's the mindset, guys. So again, let's have a fun day. Let's have an amazing day. And if we can, let's make it a profitable day as well.